on stage that much. I look familiar. Are you sure? Did I see you at the cafe earlier before, you know? Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. That's why I look familiar. Okay. Okay, all right. All right, you saw through me. All right. I know I've been standing here the whole entire time, so hi again, it's me. And, all right, let's talk a little bit about me then. I'm a native bilingual. This means both my languages, I should say, are my native tongue. My two languages are English, and if you haven't already figured it out, it's Japanese. I travel a lot for work. I think these past few years alone, I've travelled to Perth, Brisbane, I went to Melbourne about 4 times, and I've even gone to Japan 2 years ago for work. All the same one job. So, you know, what do? I'm an interpreter. Next year, I'll be going to the same locations, as well as on top of that, I'll also be going to Germany, Italy, the US, and the Philippines. So I travel really far and wide, even halfway across the globe, and but most of the times, realistically, I'm working on my computer, on my desk, at home, really 3 steps way too far away from my bed. Yeah, I like my bed. I like to stay in there. It's nice and warm and comfy, you know. If we could live off that, that would be fantastic. I'm sure you'd all agree. But if there's anything these particular locations have in common, it's Japanese pop culture. Now, specifically we're talking anime and manga. So for those of you who aren't familiar with those terms, anime is short for Japanese animation, and manga is the word we use for Japanese comics. The places I've named all have what we call Japanese pop culture conventions, or short cons. I think in Australia I can safely say that the 2 biggest cons that we have for anime pop culture in Australia is Madfest and Smash, and I believe Madfest is coming to Sydney next year, which is fantastic. Okay, I travel to attend these cons, and I work for them. And I work with the Japanese VIP guests. We meet, greet, say hello, and then walk on stage together, and we talk weeb stuff. For those of you who don't know what that means, weeb is the short term for the formal term weeaboo, and it's really a non-Japanese person who is abnormally obsessed with Japanese culture and Japan itself. Okay? But, you know, surely I'm not just the only one. There are plenty of interpreters out there, even across the globe, some which are more talented, more skilled, and more qualified than I. But I can safely say that I am probably the only professional interpreter that specializes in this particular field. All right? So, how is that so? All right. My secret, if I have to share it with you, is I'm an otaku myself. I'm a nerdy purveyor of Japanese pop culture, a geek, a manga freak, a hardcore anime fan. Or fanatic, or whatever words you might associate me with, you know, whatever you want to know. What does this mean? I own over 1,600 individual books of manga at my home. I have over 2 terabytes of anime episodes in my hard drives and my computer, which is approximately over 150 different titles. Now, this is just what I own. This does not include what I've seen on TV as a child, or what I've borrowed from friends, or what I've gotten rid of, okay? So, anime and manga comes in many, many shapes and forms. They can be about drama, action, fantasy, mystery, comedy, romance, and oh my god, they can literally be about any particular topic or any particular thing, you know? Like, I've learned that delicious foods can make you strip your clothes. There are 272 types of hells in Japan, right? And if you had good enough eyes, you can look into your body and there are millions of tiny little people working inside your body to make you healthy. And here's the most important one. I've even learnt how to be a pirate. And the seafaring one, no, not the internet trolling one. And of course, that's such an important life skill, isn't it? Thank you. Japanese pop culture is a huge part of my life. My life revolves around Japanese pop culture. And so sometimes when I'm even choosing a house I'm going to move into, it really boils down to one thing. Can it fit all 8 of my bookshelves in the one room? Okay. In fact, I believe that my favorite house that I've lived in so far was this apartment I lived in alone. Now, I went to the inspection and I walked in and it was just love at first sight. You walk in and it's just a living room and you look on the right hand side in the living room and there's this giant, blank, long wall. You know, I measured it. It's a perfect fit. It can actually line up all 8 of my bookshelves in a row and have every single one of my books in the bookshelf. You know, I've moved back home now with my parents, but you know, I can still close my eyes now and just, yeah, I can still see the bookshelves with all my books neatly packed on and over there on the wall. Yeah, it's perfect. You know, I miss it so much. You know, if I could, I'd move there again. But you know, when I move back, hey, I'm not going to get that freedom anymore. That was my living room. My parents aren't going to enjoy all of those 8 bookshelves in the living room. But at the same time, reality is they're going to give me 1 bedroom. It's not going to fit in the 1 bedroom. So after some haggling, my solution was simple. Kick my parents out of the master bedroom. And then that's not enough, so I took over the dining room as well. Okay, before you start, you know, blaming me or anything like that, just letting you know, we don't actually eat in the dining room, we eat in the living room with the TV, so that's my defense there. I have a plausible reason for taking over the dining room. In fact, it's where my dog sleeps, so I share it with the dog. Okay, now you might be thinking, isn't 8 bookshelves a bit too extreme? I mean, they're about 60 centimeters wide, 180 centimeters tall. I've even customed the shelves to make sure they're a perfect fit for the perfect sizes of each of my manga, so it fits perfectly, so it fits the maximum amount of manga possible in the bookshelf. You know, 1,600, I literally counted that yesterday to make sure that I had the right number. I was actually a little disappointed because I thought I had 2,000, not 1,600. That's aside. Well, okay, I'll admit, sure, 8 bookshelves is certainly a lot of manga. And that's not even including all of my school books or my dictionaries or my English reading books that I read. This is simply just how many manga I have. And please don't tell my parents this, this is between us. I've got about 100 or so more books sitting in piles in my room because I didn't fit in the bookshelves. I think I need to get another bookshelf. I'm not sure my parents will be happy with that, unfortunately. Yeah. But, okay, hear me out one more time, okay? Look, I know I have a lot of data and I know I have a lot of books, but when you are standing on the stage with your VIP guest and the MC and all of these other anime pop culture fans just sitting there judging you, making sure you know what you're talking about, you can never really have enough. I've always found that there's always going to be 1 or 2 things that I don't know about. But, you know, some examples, all right? Well, how many people know that there's actually different kinds of deaths, you know? There's one type of death. He likes eating apples and writing in notebooks. And there's another group, there's a whole group of them, another world of deaths. And they dress in Japanese kimonos and fight with Japanese swords that they can even communicate to, all right? And, how many of you know that you can actually win the world and save the world from total destruction by winning a simple children's card game? And I actually had difficulty with this one, which is why I chose an example. How many of you would actually be able to come with an instant translation for 好きに変わってお仕置きよ? Or, in the name of the moon, I will punish you. So, when does a passion become too much? My answer? Never. So what can you do if you want to live doing what you love the most? Well, I'd like to say, surrender now or prepare to fight. Yeah, that's right!